YouTube, we got a logo up on the wall. There has been a lot going on here. There's a lot to come, obviously. Even by the end of tomorrow, this place is going to look completely different, okay? We've got our floors going in today and tomorrow, and that is just going to completely transform the look and the feel of this place. So by the end of tomorrow, this place is really going to be feeling like a strength and performance gym. So let me walk you through some of the updates that we've got. We've been doing a lot of work, and then let's have a quick conversation on how this whole process is going and how we've organized this process, and why we are doing a lot of the work ourselves and kind of answer some of those questions. But yeah, the logo. We've never had a logo on our wall. We've been in business for almost 10 years. We've never had a painted logo ever, and we've never had one outside, which that started yesterday too, and I'll show you the update there. It's unreal. So feeling very pumped. It's so awesome to see this stuff on the wall and really make this place our home. So, all right, let me give you a quick walkthrough on some of the changes that have happened over the last week or so, and then we'll circle back. All right, here we go. So paint is done. Floors are in process. They all started yesterday. So floors are coming. Floors will be finished today. But the paint and the floors are big kind of splash items. This wall, you might have seen some of this going up. This is a fake brick wall. There was a giant old drywall patch situation going on there. I think the drywall looked bad there, and so we just put that brick facade up. So this is just a brick facade. Now, what I think we're going to do with this wall is we're going to make this a PR wall. So if you hit a lifetime PR training with us, you're going to get a brick, okay? So name, date, movement, weight lifted, okay? We didn't want to do this on an actual 100-year-old real brick wall. I want to preserve that history, even to the point where I don't want to take off that paint. That paint is a little ugly, but I think if I try to remove that much paint from the surface of that brick, it's going to ruin the brick. And I want to try to preserve as much of the historic brick as I absolutely can. And so we thought that this brick facade was a good option to kind of blend the wall a little bit rather than putting drywall here, but then also give us something that we can actually write on without ruining some Tampa history. So this is slated to be a PR wall. We'll see how that goes, but I think that that would be pretty sick. Or even just an autograph wall. You know, we do work with celebrities and athletes, and so if this was like kind of like an autograph wall, that would be pretty awesome. I don't know if you remember what this brick looked like in the previous videos, but we cleaned up that wall pretty significantly. All the block walls, so all the painted walls are block. These gray caps that we put on these pillars, that was not paint that we applied for the first time. So those were painted, and then we just painted them with the dark gray to kind of match our scheme. But we didn't apply any paint, new paint, to the old brick anywhere. So we try to preserve as much of that brick as possible. Even to the point, like I said, where we're leaving kind of ugly paint, because I would rather leave ugly paint than ruin good brick. Okay, so the main floor project here is just a big level. There was a little bit of a seam here that needed to be fixed, and so this is getting leveled today, and then I think they're gonna start installing the rubber floor here. So this big square is gonna be our rubber floor. They'll start installing that today, and then they should be done by tomorrow. Meanwhile, on this side, there's a big grind and seal project going on. So those beastly machines right there are grinding this whole area, and then we're gonna seal this up. So it's just gonna be the raw, natural concrete sealed, so you know it keeps the dust out, but it's gonna look super sharp. So the concrete here with the black rubber floor here, it's gonna look super good. And then of course we have our shower situation. So this room has been just a killer project for us. So a lot of work happening in this room, but we've got our 3 shower doors framed out. So this will be its own self-contained shower. This will be its own shower, and then our third one will also be here. So walls are framed out. We had to frame out the walls so that when the guys were grinding and sealing the concrete, it was just seamless right into the shower. So this space will be our conditioning space. The grind and seal concrete will flow straight into the office, and then it'll flow straight into these showers. So it'll look super sharp, super functional. And it's just one of those things that's just super versatile. So, you know, we could hire one team, they could come in and knock out a handful of different projects for us in one go. So this is coming along. As soon as these guys get this concrete sealed, we'll be bringing in our plumbers and all that stuff. So that's like a perfect segue into the next topic that I wanted to cover. All right, so a lot of people have been asking and kind of like in astonishment, honestly, like, oh my God, like you guys are doing so much work all by yourselves. How? Why? All those kinds of questions. And so there's been some of those, you know, some of those questions online, on YouTube, on Instagram, but then our current clients are also like, dude, what are you guys doing? Like, you guys are doing so much work by yourself. And fun fact, I actually had an entire previous life and previous career in construction. That's not true at all. So there's actually two reasons why we're doing a lot of this work by ourselves. And the first one is that we had an amazing blessing kind of fall our way. It worked out very well for us. And that was Jess's dad. Okay, so my father-in-law, he actually is a professional. He has been building his entire life. And so he's got his knowledge and his skill set is unbelievable. Okay, so he's in the professional contracting and superintendent world. He works on giant projects like skyscrapers and stuff at this point. But he was between jobs, and so they gave him some time off. And so it just happened to coincide. He finished a project early. His next project doesn't start until later. And so they gave him a little bit of time off, which has never happened since I've known him, where he's just kind of got time to do what he wants to do. And so he's been manning our ship here. So not only does he have the knowledge on how to attack this, but he's got the tools as well, which, you know, those two things together has enabled Jess and I to be actually useful here. And so he can come in here and map things out, and kind of game plan for us and set us in a direction. Both Jess and I grew up, you know, working on things and being pretty handy and doing all kinds of projects at home. Like she was working with her dad. I was doing the same thing where I grew up. And so like we both got a little bit of a background in that. And we've definitely got the willingness to go get after it ourselves. And so with his leadership and his guidance, he's been able to make us actually useful. And so that's kind of the first part of this, is that, you know, her dad was able to come in and like really kind of captain the ship here, and to kind of take that general contracting role for us and map out all these different pieces and to keep us on time. And then the second thing is that we had to move so fast that by the time we found this building, decided that this was the one that we were going to go with, signed the contract on this, got the keys, you know, that whole process was, that's a topic for a completely different video series, just finding a commercial space in Tampa under an extremely tight timeline. That, you know, that's its own miracle, honestly. But by the time we got the keys to this place, it's not like you can call all these professionals and just get them in here the next day. Every contractor, at least in our area, is booked out weeks or even months. And so we had no option but to start working. And so Jess and I knew that we were going to kind of kick the project off. And then, you know, as we got into the deeper projects like the floors, you know, all the electrical systems, the plumbing, those are jobs that need to be handled by, you know, professionals and contracted and licensed professionals and all that stuff. And so we knew that if we could get things going and at least take care of the projects that we could handle, then by the time we got to this point, which we're, you know, starting to hit that transition, the professionals would be scheduled, and also their projects would be teed up for them to come in and do that. So anyways, we kind of had no choice, really. We had to get started. We have a very tight timeline. We need to be open on June 1st, which is less than a month away at this point. And so, you know, we had no choice but to just kick this off and get the momentum rolling. Now, as you can see, like, we have kind of set this whole project up for the professionals to come in. And so first one was the floor. Well, so the first one was actually our painter. So our painter has been doing an incredible job. You know, we've got the floor guys doing their part now. Our electrician's coming in next week. Our plumber's coming in next week. And so they can kind of handle some of those big infrastructure projects and do them the way that they need to be done, while we can keep doing all the little things. So that's kind of where we're at right now. You know, Jessica and I have been working our tails off. We have basically dedicated the last month of our life to being construction workers, which, you know, in some ways is like super fulfilling, you know, because this is so tangible, and the results and the changes are so tangible that it is very satisfying and very fulfilling. Plus we're building a vision out of nothing, which that's very satisfying as well. But the amount of problem solving and the amount of just massive decision making that we've had to make in a very, you know, like I said, kind of high pressure and high stakes, high tight timeline scenario, like that has been a giant challenge. Not to mention, we have an entire business that is continuing to operate at full speed. So Perform24 1.0 hasn't skipped a beat. It's still running and doing its thing, while Jess and I have then shifted focus into Perform24 2.0 to get this thing ready. So a lot of different moving pieces here. This is something that I think will only happen once like this in our entire careers. This whole process to get this thing ready by June 1st is quite the undertaking. Spring and summer 2024, they're going to go down in history, not only in my personal life, but obviously the Perform24 story. Big milestone, big checkpoint season of business. All right, that's going to wrap up today's video, at least. Floors are coming in. They're going to start up in about 30 minutes or so, so I'm going to clean up and get them ready. But as always, train hard, live full. Catch you in the next one.